All right, guys, week 2. We spent some time working on the law of signs last week. Some of it was review, some of it was brand new with the ambiguous case of the law of signs. I want to take a look at the law of cosines this week. There is no ambiguous case for the law of cosines, so this is just completely review from last year. Okay, so these formulas are really busy looking. But if you remember from last year, it's about remembering a pattern, okay? And each one of these follows the exact same pattern. So we start with a triangle. In this case, I named it triangle ABC. So little a is the side length opposite angle A. Little b is the side length opposite angle B. And little c is the side length opposite angle C. So for instance, if we take this first one up here, okay, just here, and all of them follow the same pattern. Notice it starts with a side length. Okay, so if we start with little a squared, okay, notice it's going to be equal to the sum of the other two sides squared minus 2 times the other two sides, BC, times the cosine of the angle that's opposite the side we started with. Okay, so it would be little a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2 times b times c times the cosine of a. Same thing happens in the second one. So if we start with little b, okay, it would be little b squared equals the sum of the squares of the other two, a squared plus c squared minus 2 times the other two sides, 2 times a times c, times the cosine of the angle opposite the side we started with, so the cosine of b, okay, right here. Okay, then if we look at little c, if we start with that guy, little c squared, right here, is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides, a squared plus b squared, right there, minus 2 times the other two sides, ab, okay, times the cosine of the angle opposite the side we started with, cosine of c. So it's just a pattern. So you want to remember the pattern. I certainly would not worry about trying to memorize these guys. I would just make sure that I remember the pattern, because the pattern is going to work no matter how you name your triangle. Okay, so when do we use the law of cosines? Well, basically when the law of sines doesn't work. Okay, so if we have two sides and an included angle, so if we have an SAS situation, okay, so two sides and an included angle, we apply the law of cosines. The law of sines will not work. And then lastly, if we know the side length of all three sides, but we know nothing about the angles. Okay, so if we have side, 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 and we know nothing at all about the three angles, okay, we use that. And again, remember, there is no ambiguous case, okay, none whatsoever. So this is real straightforward. Okay, so if we take a look at this guy, okay, notice the situation we're in. We've got two sides in the included angle. Okay, so we've got SAS. So the law of cosines will work here. Okay? All right, so let's see. The first thing that I need to do, okay, is find the missing side. Very first thing I need to do. Okay? So you could call them little a, little b, and little c if you want. It doesn't make any difference. If we do that, this guy obviously is little a. Okay, this guy is little b. Okay, and obviously this guy is little c. So the very first thing we're going to do is find little c. Now, obviously you don't have to call it little c. You could call it AB if you wanted to. It makes no difference. Okay, so I'm going to call it little c for the heck of it. Okay, so we say little c squared equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Okay, so that would be 30 squared plus 16 squared minus 2 times those other two sides. So 2 times 30, okay, times 16 times the cosine of the angle opposite the side we started with, so 49 degrees. Okay, and then you could punch that thing right in your calculator right now. Okay, I'll sort of simplify it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take the 30 squared plus the 16 squared. Okay, so that's 900 plus 256, so that's 1156. So that guy's 1156 minus, let's see, 2 times 30 times 16, so that would be 60 times 16, and I'm getting 960 times the cosine of 49 pesos. Okay, and so obviously C is going to end up being the square root of that whole thing. Okay, now I would punch the whole thing into your calculator. That guy automatically comes up. Okay, and so what do I have here? Why does this bother me? I think I have one too many fives there. Let me check that. Okay, so I have 900 plus 256. That's 11, yeah, not 11,556. That's 1156. I had one too many fives there. Okay, so let's fix that. Okay, so I have 1156 minus 960 times the cosine, and this guy will come up, 49 pesos. So I need a second one for the 49 and then a second one for the square root. And we just punch that in there. Okay, so let's see. Second square root, parenthesis comes up, 1156 minus 960 times the cosine of 49. Second parenthesis for 49, second parenthesis for the square root, hit enter. And we round off to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so I'm getting roughly 22.94. Okay, so let's see, this guy is roughly 22.94. Okay, all right, now I have to go after my angle measures. Okay, and let's see what we can do here. It doesn't really matter which one you go after. Okay, I could go after angle A or angle B. It's not going to make any difference. Okay, so I'm going to go after angle A. Okay, we're going to do that guy first. Okay, so let's see. If I'm going after angle A, I have to start with the side opposite of that. Okay, so I'd go 30 squared equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So that'd be 22.94 squared plus 16 squared minus 2 times these two sides. So 2 times 22.94 times 16 times the cosine of angle A. Okay, now notice, okay, we're going to have to use cosine inverse here, okay, to be able to find the measure of angle A. Okay, so one thing that I would do is I would isolate cosine of angle A first, okay, and then just go ahead and use cosine inverse, okay, and punch everything in. Okay, so let's see, I'm going to simplify some things here, and I'm not going to round anything off until the very end. Okay, so 30 squared obviously is 900. Okay, so I'm going to go 22.94 squared plus 16 squared. Okay, so let's see, 22.94 squared plus 16 squared is 256. Okay, that is 782.2436, and that's exact. Okay, minus, I'm going to go 2 times this times this. Okay, so 2 times 22.94, I'm sorry, 2 times 22.94 times the 16. And I'm getting 734.08 times the cosine of angle A. Okay, so I isolate the cosine of angle A, and let's see, I'm going to get the cosine of angle A would be the 900 minus this guy. Okay, so 900 minus 782.2436 divided by the opposite of this guy, so negative 734.08. Okay, so I'm going to have to go cosine inverse of this guy. Okay, so the measure of angle A, okay, is cosine inverse, okay, of this guy. Okay, I could do the subtraction in the numerator, make my life a little bit easier. 900, okay, minus 782.2436, and so I am getting 117.7564, all divided by. Now, don't forget that negative sign. If you forget it, you're going to get the wrong answer. 734.08. And then I'm going to punch that whole thing in there. Okay, so we go second cosine inverse. 117.7564 divided by negative 734.08 and hit enter. And when I round off to the nearest hundredth, I'm going to get 99.23 pesos. Okay, so this guy right here should be 99.23 pesos. Okay, now, some people would say, well, just use the triangle sum theorem, okay, to come up with angle B, and technically, you'd be correct. Okay, you could do that. The problem is that if you made a mistake here, you're not going to know it, and so not only will this be wrong, but that will be wrong. Now, we could take a look at what should we get. Okay, it should become real close to, okay, 180 minus the 49 minus the 99.23. We better get something real close to that. Okay, so let's see. We should get something close to 180 minus 49 minus 99.23. We should get something real close to 31.77 pesos. Now, if I was struggling to finish a test, okay, I would probably do that and keep my fingers crossed and hope for the best. But since we're not, okay, let's do it. Okay, and let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm going after the measure of angle B. Okay, all right, so I have to start with the side opposite. So I'd say 16 squared equals the sum of these two squared. Okay, so 22.94 squared plus 30 squared minus 2 times both of these guys times 22.94 times 30 times the cosine of angle B. Okay, so notice this is just like finding angle A. Okay, so let's see, 16 squared is 256. Okay, and I'm going to square these and add them together. So 22.94 squared plus 30 squared, that's 900. Okay, and so I'm not rounding anything off, 1426.2436 minus, multiply these guys together. Okay, so 2 times 22.94, right, times the 30. And so I'm getting 1376.4 times the cosine of angle B. Okay, so let's see, I got to isolate angle B. I'm sorry, I got to isolate the cosine of angle B. Okay, so my cosine of B will be the 256 minus this guy right here, 1426.2436, all divided by, and don't forget your negative sign, this number, the opposite of 1376.4. Okay, so the measure of angle B will be cosine inverse of this ratio. Okay, so let's see, if I go 256 minus 1426.2436, notice I'm going to get a negative. So the numerator is negative and the denominator is negative, so they cancel each other out. So I'm going to get 1170.2436 all over 1376.4. Now, if you leave them both negative, as long as you use both negative signs, it'll still give you the right answer. So it's just a matter of what you want to do. All right, so I'm going to punch that in there, and hopefully it works out. So second cosine inverse, 1170.2436 divided by 1376.4. And we are getting 31.23 22.76 pesos when it's rounded off the nearest hundredth. So notice right here and right here, okay, they're not exactly the same, but they're really, really close. Okay, so we're within 1/100th. Okay, so if we were running out of time on a test and we went with that guy, we'd be okay. Okay, so whether you use that guy or you use this guy right here, okay, 31.76 pesos, okay, either way we're in good shape. Okay, so we've got our triangle solved using the law of cosines. Okay, all right, so let's try one more. Okay, let's try this guy right here. Okay, and again, notice we have another SAS. Okay, so just like the last one. So the very first thing we have to find is the missing side length. Okay, very first thing. Okay, so if you want to call this guy little r, you can. Then obviously this guy right here is little p, and this guy is little q. Whether you use that notation or not is up to you. Okay, so let's see. We have our little r squared, which we're looking for, equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So that'd be 18 squared plus 29 squared minus 2 times 18 times 29 times 18 times 29 times the cosine, okay, of angle r, because that guy's opposite from little r. So the cosine of 35. Okay. All right, so let's see. My r, okay, we know that is going to be the square root of, and I'm just going to clean this up because you could put it in your calculator just as it is. And I'm going to clean it up because it's easier to work with. So I go 18 squared plus 29 squared, and I'm getting 1165 minus 2 times 18, 2 times 18 times the 29, and I am getting 1044 times the cosine, okay, of 35. And remember, you'll get a parenthesis here, you'll get a parenthesis here, 35. So second parenthesis for 35, second parenthesis, okay, for the square root. And then we just punch that in. So second square root, 1165 minus 1044 times the cosine of 35, parenthesis, parenthesis, hit enter, and I'm coming up with 17.60 when it's rounded off to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so 17.60. Okay, that's what I'm coming up with. Okay, all right, so we have our all three side lengths. Okay, now I have to find the two missing angle measures. Doesn't matter which order you do them in. I'm going to do angle P first for the heck of it. Okay, so if we're going to do angle P, I got to start opposite. Okay, so I go 18 squared equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So 17.6 squared plus 29 squared, minus, my fault guys, minus 2 times both of these sides, 2 times the 17.6 times 29 times the cosine, okay, of angle P. Okay, all right, so let's see what we're going to do here. I'm going to clean things up. 18 squared, 324. So 324 equals, let's see, 17.6 squared plus 29 squared. I'm not rounding anything off. I'm getting 1150.76 minus, okay, 2 times 17.6 times 29, and I'm getting 1020.8 cosine of angle P. Okay, so let's see, isolate cosine of P. So the cosine of P will be 324 minus this. Okay, so 324 minus 1150.76, and that's going to give us a negative. So that's a negative 826.76, and then we'd have to divide by this. Remember, that's negative. Negative 20.8. Now obviously they're both negative, so the negatives cancel each other off. So the measure of angle P will be cosine inverse. And I'm going to cancel off those negatives. 826.76 divided by 1020.8. And punch that into the calculator. All right, so second, cosine inverse. 826.76 divided by 1020.8. And I'm coming up with 35.91 pesos. That's the measure of angle P. Okay, so that guy, 35.91 pesos. Okay, so that guy, let's see. So this guy up here, okay, we should get something real close to 180 minus 35 minus 35.91. We should get something close to that. So let's see, 180 minus 35 minus 35.91. So we should get something real close to 109.09 pesos. And let's see what happens. Okay. All right, so let's see. I've got to find angle Q. So I've got to start with the side opposite. So 29 squared equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides. 17.6 squared plus 18 squared minus 2 times both of these guys. 17.6 times 18 times the cosine, okay, of angle Q. I'm running out of room, aren't I? Okay, so let's see. I'm going to clean this up. So 29 squared, okay, is 841. And let's go 17.6 squared plus 18 squared. I'm getting 633.76 minus, and then I go 2 times 17.6 times 18. So 2 times 17.6 times 18, and I'm getting 633.6 times the cosine of Q. And then I isolate the cosine of Q. Okay, so I'm going to go 841 minus the 633.76. So 841 minus 633.76. And notice I get something that's positive. 207.24. And then I have to divide by, and remember, this is negative. This coefficient's negative. If you lose that negative sign, you're not going to get the right answer. So 633.6. Okay, so the measure of angle Q will be the cosine inverse of this ratio. 207.24 divided by negative 633.6. And we go ahead and punch it in and see what we get. So second, cosine inverse, 207.24 divided by 633 point, I'm sorry, I forgot my negative sign, didn't I? Oh, that's not good. Okay, negative 633.6. Okay, yeah, you leave out that negative sign, it's not going to be right. And I'm coming up with, when it's rounded off the nearest hundredth, 109.09. Okay, and we look here and notice we are getting exactly the same thing. Okay, so again, this should be a lot of review for you guys, and that's okay. We'll take up with some more problems tomorrow. You guys be safe. See you soon.